Here I am, just arrived in England, so we're recording now. So I am Nora Rose Zimmerman, and I am a branding and website designer. And today we're going to be talking about website energetics, which is a topic I love because my work revolves mostly around supporting clients get to understand and to feel what it is, the core essence that runs their brand, and then help them to express these on their websites, on their social media, and on their writing. And I kind of discovered a little way of working that became then a methodology and a framework. And this way of working basically places the website, in the middle. Then we have the client, which is here and is interacting with your online presence, with this thing that kind of represents you out there. And then there's you, as the owner of the frequency, as the owner of the brand, and how you apply that frequency, that thing that you do onto the website. So there's everything that happens here with the clients, and then there's everything that happens here with you, even if you are an organization or you have a team of people, how to apply all these onto the website so that it feels aligned, that it feels on brand, and that people that are not your kind of clients really leave and then go and be served somewhere else by someone else. So I'm going to begin to share my screen, and please ask any questions that you may have either in the chat, or there'll be a few moments where you can ask questions. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Lovely, thank you. So like I said, I do branding and website design, and most of my clients are transformational leaders that they are driving conscious change worldwide. And I love working with these kind of people because, although I just work perhaps for one person, their impact amplifies the work that I do. If they impact 10 people, if they impact 100 and 1,000, this is kind of part of my mission. And like I said, we're going to be talking about website energetics, how to activate your online presence so that it feels aligned, it feels authentic, and it feels on brand. So your website is the online home of your business. And I know it sounds really obvious, and it is the online home of your business, but I think sometimes we kind of forget that, in the old days, we used to do all these interactions that they now happen on a website. We used to do them in person. When I was in a studio, at the time working with Rachel, I'd have clients come and sit next to me. They'll literally sit next to me. They'll touch my screen, which perhaps was a little annoying. They'll come and, there was like a physical contact interaction. We'll look at Pantone swatches. And nowadays, none of that happens in person, or hardly ever happens. And if you are a practitioner, you're perhaps offering healing or sessions or whatever formats of thing you're delivering, even courses to a bigger audience. They're all happening online. So what we want is for that in-person experience to be translated to the website. So like I said, what we're doing is we're replicating the in-person experience. And if you perhaps pay attention to any of the interactions that you would have done in person before, even if it was a different job, I would have, perhaps if they were coming to my studio, I would have welcomed someone. I would have said, you could put your coat here. I would have said, please sit down. Maybe if you are a practitioner of some healing technique, you might be taking notes, or I might be taking a brief. And what I am doing in all of these interactions is I am guiding people. I am giving instructions. I am telling them step 1, step 2, step 3. I am making them feel at ease, but I'm really in charge of the journey. And when you are a website owner, you are exactly doing that. You are in charge of your customer's journey. You are guiding people as if they were in person. Is this making sense? Excellent. So your website is the online sanctuary of your business, of your soul business. Actually, I run a soul business because, this thing that I do is something that is a passion. It's my gift. It's not something that someone told me I'll be good at. It's something that really calls me. It's something that I have been given, and I am the source of this thing that I do. And then I communicate to people that thing. So if you are running a soul business, you are creating on your website what I called an energy field. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you're welcoming people, and that energy field needs to have a certain flavor, it needs to have a certain atmosphere so that it really feels like you or like your brand if you are a larger business. And it's also a business tool. Websites do an awful lot of admin. They really help people to the business owner, particularly, to book appointments, to sell courses or sell services. It creates sometimes automations. So, in a way, it's kind of alleviating a lot of the work that you would need to do as a business owner. And also, what it does is it helps people connect with you, perhaps at a point when you are not really available. So, a website is kind of an extension of us. And as such, it's really important to curate the experience that people are going to have of that website. So, if it is okay with you, I'd love to invite you to do a very short visualization with me. And the invitation is to kind of get comfy and close your eyes. Just adjusting your posture as you need. And really dropping a level of energy, just a little slower. And kind of going inside of you. In this moment. And beginning to tune into the atmosphere of your container in the online space, your online presence. The place where you welcome people. And just tuning into the atmosphere of this container. You may feel words or images, maybe nothing. There may be sounds. Might just be a tiny seed of something not quite defined, but there's like a taste of it. What's the flavor of this container where you're welcoming people? And leaning back and relaxing in this energy. And grounding yourself. And gently coming back to the call and opening your eyes. If you'd like to share, please unmute yourself. Okay. So I'll continue sharing my screen. So like I was saying, your website is this container where you are receiving people that are coming to connect with you. And it's also a portal into your world. And I really love this. It's like having a little peek into a part of you that kind of gives them a flavor of what you do. You know, I always have people telling me, making kind of assumptions and sometimes guessing quite correctly about who I am and what I do and about my personal life as well, just from my website. And that's really good because it makes people feel like they're connecting with a real person. And so for most visitors, your website may be the very first point of contact with you and with your business. It might just be a bit like a shop window. And I love this analogy because sometimes I just go out and I have a little walk and I am literally walking into a shop without really planning to. I'm not looking for anything, but something kind of pulls me. Yeah, something pulls me to go into this place. And what happens is if we reverse engineer this, what is happening is the shop owner has created this window intentionally. They have infused it with a certain vibe, with a certain set of elements that would be attractive to me, that would call me, and they would not call someone else. So equally, someone else might go to that very shop window and they may not feel that they want to go in there. And that's very good. So your website is also rejecting people that are not aligned with you because they're going to go somewhere else and they're going to be much better served. Is this making sense? Excellent. So your website works on 3 levels. So the first one is the energetic connection, which is something that we've been talking about a little bit. Then it's a container for your gifts and for your teachings. And then it's also practical support for your business. And I'm going to go into each of these. So number 1 is energetic connection. And this is, aside from what I've been saying before, this is something that sometimes we kind of bypass, yeah? Because when I say, imagine what happens when customers land on your website, most people say, oh, you know, in my case, they would say, oh, you know, what is it that they need? They need a website. Yeah. There's always the need, but there's also the feelings of where they are at with the moment, the point in time when they are ready to come and work with me. So if you are clear about the needs of your clients and then the feelings of your clients, please do, put it in the chat, because it's quite a different distinction. Yeah. The clients that come to me, of course, they need a website or they need a brand or they need graphics. But also they may be feeling quite confused if they haven't had a website before. They may be feeling like, oh, I don't know what to start, or is this the right way to do it, or who do I choose to work with, or they might have like questions. Yeah, they might even feel a little bit icky, like, I have a website, it was DIY, and it just doesn't work anymore. Or they might be completely ready. They had a website before, they've been running a business for a while, and they're upgrading, and they know fully, completely in their bodies that, there's no more using the old website. We need the new. And they have a lot of momentum. So you can see that I've kind of pinpointed the feelings of my different types of clients and when they are at and when they're ready. Because if someone is not quite ready in those places, then they're probably not going to be a great match to work with me. Yeah, if someone is like, oh, I'd like a website, but I'm not sure, I'm going to work, then they're not ready. Yeah, as much as they can feel uncomfortable with the DIY website, there's a point. It's like when the apple is ready, it falls. It's the same here. So the more you can hone in into that feeling, that moment where your clients are ready to work with you, the better you're going to be able to write the words and to create the images for your website. So what I said here is put yourself in their shoes, understand how they're feeling, what brings them here, and then what is the atmosphere that you want to create to welcome people into your container. The next thing that I want to talk about is this is a structured container. So for creative entrepreneurs is a really good place to land their ideas. Lots of you may have different skills, different abilities, different experiences, and you're just kind of bringing them in together, pulling them all in into one unified brand umbrella. And for that, you really need a good website architecture so that you as a business owner can land your things in there, but also your clients can really journey through the website with ease without getting lost, without getting stuck. I'm sure you've been on websites before where you just don't know how you got there, and then you just go, oh my God, I can't go backwards, I can't go forward, I don't know how I got here. Or even you want to enroll on something or buy something and you just can't do it. Yeah, you get stuck, there's kind of dead ends. So that's really important. It's because the website architecture is not quite working, or sometimes the website architecture is a little contorted. You just go through a million steps until you get to where you want it. Again, we don't want that. We just want the journey to be so easy that the person doesn't even realize their journey. It's like a smooth journey. And then obviously the website is practical support for you as a business owner. So your website will become a support and a sales tool. It can, create bookings, it can sell things, there's e-commerce, there's all sorts of, sales operations that can happen on a website. It's also there to magnetize the right customers, like we were saying, and repel the ones that are not aligned. It's also very good for pre-qualifying people. And by this, I mean, if someone has looked up my website and they probably book a clarity call to talk to me, they very likely either came to a class or they had a look at my portfolio or they read some of the things that I wrote. So what it's doing is when I meet this person, they are already kind of familiar with what I do. So I don't need to sell them anything. They kind of sell themselves because what they're doing is they're checking to see if we're a good match. And if you are a therapist, it will save a lot of time having conversations with people to see if they are a match. Well, if you are in any kind of service, basically a good website will pre-qualify your customers. And also it guides your customers into your sales funnels, which basically, if you have a series of steps for people to sign up to a webinar or to join your mailing list, it can have a series of automations to create things for you. Right. So far, we've covered a little bit about what happens on the website as a container of your teachings, of your offerings, the website, welcoming people, and that kind of interaction. Do you have any questions so far? Any questions are valid. Oh my God, this is a quiet day today. Okay.
I'm going to reveal myself. I already have a website with you, as you know, Nora, but maybe the other people don't. And one of the things I found really helpful was the you have like a pre package, don't you, that I went through, which is, I think you can do even before you commit to work, like it's a standalone branding course, yeah, which was really helpful to me. And I wasn't primed to come here today. There's other reasons that I'm here today, but I did want to mention that because it was really helpful to help me think about what is my flavor, and what it is that I like. So I think, as well as building the website, there's a lot of strategy and kind of really probing into who am I authentically, and what am I really offering, so that I can really stand by it and embody it, because it was kind of an embodying process that kind of happened alongside. So I just want to say that was kind of unexpectedly deep and unexpectedly helpful. It was critical, actually.
It is, yes. And thanks for saying that. We're going to be going into that now.
Okay.
And it is what I call embodying your brand. And is the part that, in my humble opinion, many designers skip. And, we tend to jump very quickly, and I have done it myself as a designer, to jump into, the mood board and the fonts and the colors. And, even some clients come to me with photos that are already done, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I personally discovered that, that way of working was fine, but there was a much more kind of in-depth way of working, in which clients can really kind of go inside. And because my type of client, they really are the source of that frequency that they bring. Even if they have an organization, they hold that frequency. And as a conscious business, that frequency can only be communicated by you embodying it, and I'm kind of standing a little bit taller here, like showing, it's like there's so many other designers, but the way I work can only be done by me. Yeah. And so when I take ownership of that frequency, when I sit in my chair, when I kind of embody that frequency, and a lot of you might have done embodied work in other, modalities, this kind of begins to translate onto the words, it begins to translate onto the photos, it begins to translate and infuse the website. So that preliminary work that we did with Trudy, it kind of feels like, oh, we don't get to design the website until later. But yeah, it's so foundational that then everything is really fast and easy, and the decisions fall in place, because the core essence of the brand is clear. It's simple. There's like a clarity that feels you know, everything else is not. There's just kind of one or two, you know, tiny different options, basically. Is that making sense? Because this is like a concept, yeah? It's not like a practical thing, like the website is the other stuff that happens before. Is it making sense?
It's kind of making sense. I mean, in the sense, I think it all depends on the client, and as you said, it depends on whether they're ready for it or not. I don't think sometimes we get the choice to say, well, you're not ready, sorry, go away. So it does make sense if you've got a client like Trudy who is open to discovering that side. But often there's less of a I've just snooped and just seen what your website is, Trudy, just to have a better understanding. And obviously you put a lot of yourself into your artwork, and therefore it makes sense, you know, for yours to almost be personal, because it needs to show your personality, and because your art shows a lot of your personality. So it's tricky when it's more of a business and less personal, like a therapist, like an artist.
Yes, yes. And I tend to work with personal brands. So, or organizations that are led by a person in the first place.
I think I would also say that, like, I had a very corporate website because I was in corporate and I became an artist, so I had a very kind of structured website. It was becoming quite overwhelming with the amount of stuff I was adding on, and that, so Nora definitely did a really good job of streamlining. But also, I think post-COVID, I think she also helped me share more of myself, because there was a tendency to hide and be more kind of corporate and everything's already perfect and his, you know, but actually people want to know who's behind this business, and they only do business with people that they like, know and trust, in my experience, whatever the business is, even if it's your plumber. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, I feel like, being, if you can show more personality, however much you're comfortable with it, or have, I think that's really helpful for people to get a sense of who you are and then wanting to work with you. But
Yeah,
it
I
obviously
agree.
changes in different
I think it changes when it's business to business. Where does that come in? How do
B2B,
you
yeah.
get that
Yeah.
energetic kind of vibe from a business, that you talking to the person that probably doesn't even own the business, that is briefing you in, and you've got to get a sense of their business, what they're trying to, the message they're trying to give.
Well, I mean, if it's any helpful, I have worked with large organizations, and there's always a thread that runs, you know, there's always a vibe and a thread that runs, that it's given by the values, that is given by the things that they stand for. So although it may feel a little bit more impersonal, there's still a thread of something that runs beneath any organization, any corporate, you know, company. And in fact, you know, I just feel that a lot of the corporations have been, let's say, humanized in the last, you know, 15 years, for no better word, you know, because, you know, people do business with people. They don't do business, well, we will maybe do business with robots, but I don't think that's the case. And, you know, yeah, there are situations where you have to kind of adapt, and this work may not be suitable. Absolutely. Any more comments, questions, shares? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk more about imprinting your frequency onto your website. And I'm going to share my screen. So how to imprint your frequency on your online presence. And this is the work that I call Embodying Your Brand. And it's what we've been commenting just now. So as a sole business owner, and if you are a personal brand, you actually hold the keys within, and they are kind of within you. Yeah. And like I was saying, you know, a website is not just a set of beautiful images, matching color palette, a legible font. You know, to me, it's a lot more than that. And although that is really, really important, you know, I kind of came to this methodology and this way of working because I used to receive before the brief, and then I would implement, and, you know, I would use all my marketing skills and my advertising skills and my design skills, and then I'll create some wonderful designs. But at some point, I began to use my own spiritual practices with my clients. And what happened was quite amazing. As I began to mesh some of my spiritual practices, my clients began to go really deep. And the reason why I started doing this was purely practical. I was waiting for my clients to provide copy for their websites, and I was waiting for my clients to provide the photos. And what I was getting was good enough, in my opinion. But it was kind of missing the point, you know? It was like, there's something else here. There's something else here that is not kind of being shown. The words are really good. They're marketing words, you know, it's all, the grammar is correct. Everything is correct. But there was a sense that there was something missing. And so I began to do some of my own practices with my clients. And they began to bloom. You know, I was getting complete amateurs provide amazing photos. I was getting complete amateurs, beginners write amazing website copy. Even some of my colleagues were saying, you know, how do you get your clients to give you such amazing photos? And it was because I began to do the deeper work with them. It wasn't complicated. It was just kind of a matter of patience. It was a matter of sitting in that kind of uncomfortable place where, you know, one wants to push forward and, oh, let's get it done. Of course, I can do a website in 48 hours, but, you know, I had to almost step back myself to give these kind of brand thing to come through rather than create it from my head kind of thing. And so after I created that methodology, I began to work in this way. And very likely you as a business owner, you have a methodology, you have a way of working, you have ways of doing the very thing that you do that probably no one else does. And sometimes it's just a matter of, again, not thinking of the skills like I do design, but more I help people get to the core essence of their brand. Yeah, it's very different, you know, when you name the skill or the modality, or when you name the very thing that you do, which is, you know, the kind of intangible in a way. So for a conscious business owner, your brand identity will definitely start within. And this is a little graphic that I've put together out of some of the things that I think a brand is. And the term brand, you know, maybe 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't so all-encompassing. We used to call it corporate identity before. And it used to be more like, okay, this is the corporate identity and this is how we apply it. But now it's more like it sips into everything that you do. So it's a little bit of your identity. It's a little bit of the experience that you create for people. It's the emotions that you evoke in people. It's the values that you stand for. And it's the look and feel, which is the part that, you know, as a designer, I'm going to be expected to go to straight off the bat, but I don't. So these are some of the elements that kind of weaving into your brand. So when you want to have brand clarity and become crystal clear and relaxed, communicating that very thing that you do, what you're doing is you're rooting your communications in one overarching clear foundation. Then you have discernment, because your brand is this thing and your brand is not this thing. You begin to also explain with a lot of ease the essence of what you do. And also when you go to other websites, you go, oh, this is really inspiring. This feels like my brand a little bit. Or no, this doesn't feel like my brand at all. You begin to understand, once you have this clarity in you, you begin to understand, the landscape of other things that feel related or completely misaligned with you. Maybe there's a why you do the thing you do, and there's a story about the thing that you do. Most people have a story. Sometimes the story is very related, and we tend to kind of leave it out, but it's quite important to perhaps weave it in. Then it's also a way of aligning your inner vision with the outer translation. And I use my website a lot for these. Sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit off, like, oh, I lost my frequency. Where's my frequency? What do I do? I kind of go to my website and I'm reminded of this very thing that I do. I'm reminding of, oh yeah, this is what I do. Oh, that's the price of this service that I offer. It's almost that the website can really contain your vision. It can contain you as a business owner if you use it in that way. And it also, when you have brand clarity, it really helps you to activate the soul brand in you. So what you're doing is you are basically embodying the brand. And when you go to the photos, you're feeling like you can communicate the essence of that thing. Is this making sense? Thank you. So when we have clarity and embodiment, basically everything becomes really clear. You are holding the vibration of the work that you offer. And when you know how to embody your brand and you translate the correct frequency to the outer world, everything kind of falls in place. So I always say that there's 3 energies that play in this kind of framework. There's the website in the middle that I can lean onto. I can relax onto my website. My clients can come and connect to my website, and feel that kind of frequency of that thing that I do. And then there's me as a business owner and a practitioner, or, designer in my case, that actually, has to admin the website, has to do the invoices, has to do, all sorts of admin things. And also I'm a designer. Sometimes those 2 things are kind of sandwiched, but it's always good to understand that they're fairly separate. So as business owners, we are kind of dealing with all of these 3 things, all of these interactions. So if you want to start your brand clarity journey, this is the course that Trudy was mentioning. It's called Embodying Your Brand. I used to have it as a part of only for my clients in the beginning, but then I realized that basically anyone can do it. If you're going to go and work with another designer, if you are interested in the work, simply to align a little bit more with what you're doing, you lost track a bit of what you're doing, embodying your brand is the sure thing to really clarify your core messaging, your essence, and kind of to root you back into, frequency. And today you can have a 30% off. There's another course as well, which is called Plan and Create Your Brand Photoshoot. So both courses are short. They are only an hour long. I'm one of those kind of people that doesn't do courses very well. So I wanted to do something really short. The videos are like 5-8 8 minutes. They're very short as well. There's some questionnaires for you to answer, so you can really get to kind of dive deep, you know, into the brand. And for Plan and Create Your Photo Shoot, this is for you to actually apply the brand essence onto your photos. And I don't know, maybe Trudy, you want to share a bit more about that bit of applying the essence of your brand onto your photos, because that was quite fun when we did it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I was in Nicaragua, so I was a long way away from you, but we planned it out. We put a lot of thought into the photos, and also the what I would wear. Like, you had me do different outfits, you know, like yes, yes, no, no, no. Those shoes have got to go, and earrings were, but you know, there was a lot of, you know, consider myself like I like clothes and I like fashion, but you really knew like what's going to work in a photo shoot and what was going to communicate well, and the little bits of extra jewelry, and you know, that was just what I was wearing. But also the actual, we made a brief of all the different shots that we wanted. That was really helpful. We were in different time zones, so it was a little bit tricky, but I felt like I had enough to, you know, be the stylist in my own shoot, which was really helpful, and we got lots of good footage, and then even some extras. I kind of felt to do a few things in the moment, and that also really worked as well, because I had the vision and I'm visual. But it was really important to plan that out, and that course went through all the little bits, because you've only got that moment, those few hours with your photographer.
Yeah, I think also planning the photo shoot is part of designing the website, really. You know, it's just almost like, okay, what do I want to communicate with my photos? You know, do I want my photos, you know, to be really expressive? Do I want them to be really subtle? Do I want them to be, you know, really friendly? Do I want to look super corporate and professional? So planning the photo shoot is also part of designing the website, imprinting your frequency onto the brand essence. And I think also what happened is, you know, as you were kind of coming out of the corporate, you know, you were kind of revealing yourself and finding, you know, these, you know, new way of expressing Trudy and her work. And also, yeah, there are things that don't work in photos. They work very well in real life, you know, if we're going to a dinner party. But, you know, what works on images sometimes doesn't work in real life either. So it works both ways. So we're coming to the end of the presentation. Any questions, any thoughts, reflections? It's interactive. Okay. So this is going to be the shortest class ever. Oh, I did say I would offer a mini website review if someone has a website and wants to have us look at it. Let me know. Okay. Oh my goodness. So if you want to connect with me, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or message me on Facebook. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with all of you. And thank you for coming. Thank you for turning up live.